Hi everybody, time for another midweek chat. I was hoping for a more scenic spot, but you know, it's green. It's the green of summer. I thought this was a nice plush kind of green field there, and some oak trees. And I'm not sure what kind of tree that is, but you know, that's one of the things I love about July is that it's just so plush wherever you go, green. So there's a little of that. I'm on Mount Tom. See, I thought it was going to be a viewpoint or something on top of Mount Tom, but I'll just show you real quick here. So what Mount Tom has are these little babies. Can you see that? They have towers. There's like a tower there, and then there's a tower, you know. So I don't know if that's a TV thing or if that's cell phone towers or what, but that's what's on Mount Tom. And so maybe not the most scenic, but you know, here we are. It's a Wednesday. It's July 28th. So a few parish updates for you, a few thoughts on this and that. I just left the home of Ron and Jerry Wampler. Ron died yesterday, and I don't know how you know him. He was the gosh, I don't even know the title, but the county. What did they say? I don't have my notes, but he was kind of managed the county. He did that in Pepin County and Dunn County for 13 years, and then in Eau Claire County for 20 years. And he was a social worker by trade, and you know, I just knew him as a man of great faith and a man of good sense, and I was really tickled when he came over to be with us at St. James. I knew him a little bit. We had a common friend, Father Blecka in Menominee, and so a friend of Father Blecka is a friend of mine, kind of thing. But really just a good guy, a daily mass guy, a rosary guy, and you know, socially active. His job was dedicated to being with the vulnerable and helping them. His family said that growing up, the kids, they would get, they were the foster home of last resort. So on his job, if he couldn't find a placement for some youth that needed a home, they would stay at the Wamplers for a little while. So among many other things, just real gracious in life and in suffering and in death. So we commend him to God. His funeral will be on Friday. So remember Ron fondly. So what else we got going on for parish stuff? We got Summerfest is just around the corner, so I'll be with everyone this weekend. And the weekend following, I won't be. I'll be in Wyoming, so that'll be hopefully good and exciting and beautiful. I never did that whole South Dakota trip, you know, so we'll go through South Dakota, a friend of mine from Milwaukee and I, and looking forward to spending time with him. And a couple nights in a motel in Rapid City by all that Mount Rushmore stuff and Wounded Knee and things like that. And then off to the Bighorn Mountains with a lot of day hikes and hopefully in the Cloud Peak Wilderness. My goal is to get to a glaciated lake with a snowfield above it. I'm not sure we might have to kind of backpack and spend a night in the wilderness to get close to those kind of sites, but we'll see. We'll see how it all turns out. I'm sure it'll be good. Hot and muggy today. I don't think it's going to rain on me. I don't think that the radar is up, but we'll see how it goes. I won't melt if it does. That's what I figured. Hey, I stopped at Sue's. This is near Sue's, the bakery on Birch Street in Eau Claire, and I dropped a little cash there. They didn't have exactly what I wanted. They have these really good items that I looked toward, but they didn't have those on the shelf. But you know, I got a loaf of bread. They had this real long Danish, you know, cream cheese Danish. I thought, well, you got to try that, see how that is, right? And then they said they had pasties. So I haven't had a pasty since, you know, I was a boy. We went up to the UP once when I was a kid, and we had pasties. So that's what's for dinner tonight, having a pasty. So that'll be good, right? Anyway, what was I gonna say? And then they're selling corn on the street there, and I had that before. It's really good. It comes from Kellogg, Minnesota, just south of Wabasha there. So kind of a nice summer afternoon here in Eau Claire. But I was, you know, so anyway, here we are at Mount Tom, named after. You ever wonder what it'd be like? I remember when I was a kid, I thought, boy, that'd be great to have something named after you, to be famous. When you're a child, you want to be famous, maybe. So here it is. I'm on Mount Tom. I think if there was another Tom before me that it was named after, but But sometimes you see these monuments, like we know Abraham Lincoln, people like that. And I don't mean to disparage the memory of Mr. Randall, but I don't know who he is. And there's a park in kind of by the campus a little bit where a lot of student housing is, north of Water Street. And there's a big statue of a guy named Randall. And I thought, well, probably in his time, people were like, wow, this is this great guy. Let's put a statue of him. And maybe children grew up saying, boy, I hope I have a statue of me someday. And yet, as generations pass, they can be kind of forgotten. So I don't know. I don't know what he did. But there's a statue of him in Randall Park. But today, I think one of the things the church does, I guess we have a lot of statues too, but we have saints and saints' days that remember people. And today happens to be a saints' day, though, I celebrated it as a saints' day this morning at Mass, and then he's blessed. He's not a saint yet. So I sort of messed up. A Saturday I messed up because I said it's the Feast of St. James. I was all excited to put away the green vestments and put on a white vestment because it was a feast. And then that night I go, oh yeah, it's a feast, but it should be a red vestment because he was a martyr, So anyway, I messed up. I corrected that on Sunday, but our patron saint, St. James the Greater, the first martyr of the apostles. Anyway, today's feast is of Blessed Stanley Rother. I actually have a picture of him. That's him. So I don't know the year. No, it probably says right here. So he was actually murdered. So he's a martyr as well. He was murdered in 1981. So he was a priest of the, I think the Diocese of Oklahoma City. And just like the Diocese of La Crosse had a mission in Bolivia, I think Oklahoma City had a mission parish in Guatemala. San Lucas, I think, Santiago, and he was on this beautiful lake, and he was very good at farming. I guess he had a farming background, and so he went down there, and the indigenous people, Guatemala in that area, I'm sure hardworking and all that, but lacked some of the technology, so he had a lot to teach them about farming and irrigation and all that kind of stuff. And he did that, and of course when you work alongside people and you celebrate Mass and lead them in the Eucharist each week, you grow close to them. And then what happened, those were very turbulent years in Guatemala, a lot of civil war. And basically the military, there's kind of an oligarchy situation where there were a few families that had really most of the wealth, and they had the army. And there were grassroots movements to try to challenge that, to have land reform to help others have more access to the society's goods. And, some of them were Marxist and some weren't. And so the U.S. kind of took the side of the not Marxist ones. And in the meanwhile, Father Stanley was just kind of trying to teach them how to farm and stick up for their rights and things like that. And he was put on a list that targeted by the army, by the government, to be killed. And because they didn't want people to be demanding their rights. The system wasn't really fair, but it benefited those in power, so they wanted to continue it that way, right? So anyway, so people said, his family, his friends, they said, you gotta leave. If you stay here in Guatemala, you're gonna die. And so he kind of didn't want to, but he said okay. So he went back to Oklahoma, and he was just depressed. He was just miserable there. And he said, a shepherd has to be with his sheep. A shepherd without his sheep is nothing, So I got to go back. So he goes back like in 1980, and sure enough, in 1981, I actually visited. It's a kind of a museum, a pilgrimage site for people to go to, and I've been there. Christine's been there. She was there with some Stout students a while ago. It's a room, and the stains of the blood from when they walked in his room there and the rectory are still there. And it's horrific, just to be shot point blank like that. So that's him. That's Stanley Rother. Because shepherd belongs with his sheep, he went back, or he was pretty sure he would die, and he did. So So his cause for canonization is alive and well. He's been beatified, and so that'll take a little while till he's canonized. So that's today. That's today's feast. Tomorrow we have Saint Martha. Martha, you are anxious and upset about many things. One thing is necessary, Jesus tells her. She's the one who was irked at her sister for just sitting around and talking to Jesus when she had to do all the serving of the food and hospitality work. And Jesus kind of chided her a little bit about that. And then the 31st is such a great feast day in the church. It's the feast day of St. Ignatius Loyola. And because we're not Parish of St. Ignatius, we can't preempt the Sunday like we did last weekend with St. James the Greater. But just to note, I mean, he's the one who founded the Jesuit Order of Priests. You know, Pope Francis, a Jesuit. Marquette University in Wisconsin is a Jesuit university. And they've really been leaders in the church, and in a lot of ways. But I think mainly, certainly in my life, it's because of spirituality. So last summer we had that online retreat with Father Mark Thibodeau that over 100 people at St. James participated in one form or another. So St. Ignatius Loyola affected all of us. Maybe we'll end with a paraphrasing of one of his great prayers, the Susepe, the Take Lord. Parish Up. So anyway, I kind of got going on that, but hopefully that Father Stanley story was interesting to you. The Summer Fest weekend, so not this but next. No, not the weekend of the 14th, 15th. So we will have an outdoor mass, but it won't be an extra mass. It'll be the 4:30 mass. And we're going to do it behind the current rectory. It's really nice shaded. People were afraid to go to outdoor mass last weekend because it's going to be so hot. It was lovely. It was just lovely with all those pines giving us shade and the music, and everything was good. And there should be plenty of room. So we hope people will bring their chairs. So in the past we had outdoor mass at 4:30 mass was outdoor at Summerfest weekend, but chairs were provided. It was all under a tent. Well, it will be different this because we're not going to be under a tent. We're going to be in the shade of those pine trees behind the rectory, and so please bring a lawn chairs. You might not be expecting that. There will be some people around, I'm sure, that can help you. There is a shed with some metal chairs not too far away, so we'll try to accommodate people. But I hope it'll be as we continue the tradition of that 4:30 mass being outdoors on the 14th. Okay, the cornhole tournament, the beanbag tournament. I said last week it was $20. It's true in a sense. It's $20 a person, but it's $40 a team. And we're just hoping to get some people for that. So far, myself and a guest are the only two that have officially registered so far. You can register day of, but it'd just be kind of nice to know who's playing and who's not. So it'll be around Sunday afternoon, maybe around 1 o'clock. It'll start in some brackets and some games. So that'll be good. Yeah, so it'd just be exciting. We have the dinner coming up, and a lot of that information is available on our website, right? I talked a little bit about, people have been talking about we're going to bring the songbooks back, and I thought we were kind of on the edge of doing that, and then this Delta variant stuff, and so I think our idea is to kind of go month by month. So this month yet we're going to leave it alone and just we'll try to sing familiar songs so people can kind of sing along at lower voice and kind of know what's happening. It is hard when you're not singing and you don't have music and there's a song you don't know and maybe you can't hear the words, and so we'll try to keep that to a minimum, but I think generally I'm really hearing just incredibly positive things about our music ministry and how it's really stepped up during these strange pandemic times. We've got Emma, our violinist, and Dawson, our trumpet, and our core of great keyboard players, and we have Will on the bass often. We're waiting for Hannah, the triumphant return of Hannah at the end of August. So that'll be fun to get her back playing the string bass. So anyway, just a little while yet, and we'll be getting the new hymnals and to begin Advent. That's a ways off, but we'll hang on to the old hymnals just in case it's things we can get more confident. The thing is that we just don't know who's vaccinated, who's not, and one of the main ways the virus spreads, right, is through the air. And so it's kind of the singing that's the thing. And I know that's more of an issue for some than others, but we just don't want to put people unnecessarily at risk. So hang in there, please. I know we're a singing parish and we can't wait to raise the roof again one day, hopefully not too far from now. Yeah, I'm getting worried. You know, we have our pilgrimage plan to the Holy Land. It's full right now. I imagine some people will drop out, and we'll see how it's going now. In Israel, the Delta cases are going up and all, and they're requiring a green pass to get into places. So we'll see. That's not till February, but you know, this is just the thing that won't go away. I think it's hard. It's hard on everybody, and it's certainly been difficult on parish life. So we came in there. We try to keep the faith. You know, there's been news, a lot of churchy kind of news, and some pleasant, some housekeeping stuff like Latin Mass stuff or communion and worthiness to receive communion. And I know that some of that is troubling to people, and I didn't really know what to say about that. I have my own views on it, and like I don't know if people follow it, if it's something you're really curious to even hear what I might think about it. But I think more what I've been preoccupied with lately is just church membership, and do people feel good about being Catholic or not? And I saw something really kind of lovely on the TV last night, or was it YouTube? I've been staying up too late a lot lately. I start watching YouTube, and I'm just stuck for the rest of the evening. Usually I'll tune it in on my tablet as I'm about to go to sleep. But you know, the Simone Biles, the gymnast, that was a very kind of interesting story about her pulling out of the competition, mental health reasons, not feeling right, not wanting to jeopardize her mental or physical health. So anyway, it's been an intriguing thing to me, to think about. And maybe we do, glorify winning to the point of not being healthy, too much. And so this has kind of been interesting. I think, what I hear is spoken is people really support her for taking care of herself. I think, we don't really know the whole story. But anyway, what I heard, which was interesting, so she's Catholic. And I think I knew that, and then I forgot about it. But they were interviewing someone named Dominique Dawes, who was a gymnast in the first decade of the 21st century for the Olympic team. And they said, yeah, I just think, she'll be okay. She's taking care of herself, and her Catholic faith is strong, and that will see her through. Well, I didn't know that. I hadn't heard that Simone Biles was Catholic, and I thought, well, that's interesting. So I did a little Googling, and sure enough. And from an article 2 years ago, apparently, I don't know what happened, but her parents didn't raise her. Her grandparents raised her. And she always, 2 years ago anyway, she always carries this white beaded rosary with her wherever she goes. That's her grandmother's rosary. So anyway, apparently she has a strong faith, and it's rooted in the Catholic tradition. So that's kind of neat. Katie Ledecky, same deal. The swimmer. So there's a lot of people take a lot of strength in church, and I know a lot of people I've been questioning lately. I've been talking to youth. I've been talking to some other people in the parish, and they're like, "Gosh, all this stuff is just kind of really bugging me." And I'll be like, "Yeah, just because one person says something, that is bothersome, doesn't mean he speaks for the whole church." Or, every situation just seems a little bit different. And well, and then the scandal, we had kind of a scandalous, news last week with the priest from the diocese. I don't really want to get into the details here, but it's just made a lot of people like, what's going on? And I share that. I share that exact same reaction. And wrote a little bit. I wrote a column actually for the local paper. I think they're going to run it about staying church in the midst of scandal. And I don't know. I hate to say we just got to lower expectations of people. I will say, as I've gotten older, my expectations of people have lowered. It doesn't mean I don't think we're capable to be very Christ-like and heroic. So, but I've seen too many times people fall and do bad things. And And of course our big scandal, with child abuse, and that's and covering that up more than really correcting it or removing people like that from ministry right away. That's hard to take, and I know that's driven a lot of people from the church, and that certainly isn't something that should be tolerated. So it's not something that I would say, yeah, we just got to learn to live with it. Absolutely not, But other things, just kind of distasteful things, or people that, this priest was rude to me, or, something like that. I guess I have come to sort of expect that, and I take a lot more. There's a lot of, the vast majority, really inspiring, awesome pastors that I know, both not Catholic and Catholic, and some aren't, and some have bad days, and some say rude things. I can think of several times that still haunt me, that I said the wrong thing, or I alienated somebody by what I did, and I hope they have mercy. I hope they didn't judge the whole church by that day. I take more inspiration from the people than I do from pastors, I would say. I don't mean that as a negative thing about pastors, but I just see so many good-hearted people who come to church and who are grounded in the sacraments and parish community life, and who find their friendships there, and they have such a core goodness, kind of like this Ron that I was talking about when we started. And I've seen it. I think church is good for people with all of our faults, and it hasn't been good for everybody. I'll be the first to say that, and I grieve that, and I understand when people leave, but I always hope people can stay and kind of make things better because of their presence. There's a theologian that I really liked. His name was I think he's still alive, Timothy Radcliffe. He's a Dominican priest from England, and when he was talking about this, he said, I choose to stay in the church because I believe that Jesus has chosen to remain with us in the church. So he tries to pick us up when we fall. He continues to come to us in the Eucharist. He remains with us in all our flaws and all our fallings and all our defeats and all our failures. And he remains with us. He sticks with us. And so I'm gonna stick with him, and I'm gonna stick with this people. I was pretty inspired when I heard that. There's a certain realism to that. I hope it doesn't sound too pessimistic, or like I just throw in the towel. Like, well, we're always called to be better, for sure. So you can see, I hope you can sense I struggle with this as well. And the same church that has problems is also the church that raised up Blessed Stanley Rother and Ron, and all these really good folks. So, and I continue to encounter Jesus in you when I see you guys, and on the weekend, and certainly in the Eucharist, and in the Word of God. So, hang in there would be my hope. I understand if it's really hard sometimes. Hey, let me just kind of maybe close with this idea. So I kind of been pushing, I don't know if anyone's taken me up on trying to watch The Chosen. So it's an app thing. You can see some episodes on YouTube, but it's mostly through an app. You go to The Chosen. And it's about the life of Jesus. And there's 2 seasons that have been completed, and 2 8-episode seasons. There's going to be 56 total before all is done. So there'll be a break now before season 3 will start. I don't know when. And I just, I told you kind of what happened, that the next one is going to be the Sermon on the Mount. And did I summarize this last week? I hate to, these are long enough without me repeating myself every week to week, right? But we had a funeral for Marie Kinnear last week, and Marie was just goodness and mercy, and her family chose the Beatitudes for her funeral gospel. And the last episode of The Chosen was Jesus preparing the Sermon on the Mount. And he's having this discussion with Matthew, whose gospel the Sermon on the Mount is written. Matthew reads it and says, I don't think it should just begin like this. I think it should begin with something else. And then so Jesus goes off. Maybe I did tell you this. Well, I'll just continue the story. And so he comes back and he says to Matthew, he goes, I read, and he reads it, how's this? Blessed are the poor in spirit, the kingdom of heaven is theirs. Blessed are those who mourn, they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, they'll be satisfied. Blessed are those who show mercy, mercy will be shown to them. Blessed are the pure of heart, they will see God. Blessed are those who make peace, they will be called God's children. And blessed are you when they insult you and utter false things about you because of me. Blessed are the persecuted for the sake of righteousness. Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And while he was saying that, there were scenes from the past about past episodes about people who exhibited these things, showing mercy to each other in grief and mourning, making peace, being suffering. They had John the Baptist being pulled off to prison when it was the blessed those who were persecuted. And then he said, this is a map. This is a map. And then Matthew said, what do you mean this is a map? And he said, if people want to see me when I'm not here, if they want to find me, that's where they should go. They should look for the poor in spirit. They should look for the meek. They should look for peacemakers. They should look for people that show mercy. They should look for people who are suffering. They should look to the clean-hearted peacemakers. I might have forgot one, but you get it? I just thought, wow, that is so beautiful. And my thought with Marie, anyway, that was people's experience. They were, because she was so merciful and a peacemaker and meek. And when you spent time with Marie, you spent time with Christ. And that's, you were drawn closer to the life of Christ, certainly. So, anyway, I just thought it was such a beautiful thing. So if I shared that last week, I'm sorry for the repeat, but to me, that's something you can't really hear too much. The Beatitude is such a beautiful thing. So, St. Ignatius Loyola, Sunday. His prayer was put to music, but I'll just say the prayer with the lyrics of the song. He was dedicated to the idea that our lives are just about giving glory to God. Everything we do should just be about what does God want us to do. It shouldn't be about what do I need, what do I want, and knowing that God would take care of us and has our best interest in mind. Everything that we have, we're given so that we can serve God with it, whether it's a thing or health. So this is a prayer that John Foley put to music. Take, Lord, receive all my liberty, my understanding, my entire will. Give me only your love and your grace. They're enough for me. Your love and your grace are enough for me. Take, Lord, receive all I have and possess. You have given all to me. Now I return it. Give me only your love and your grace. They're enough for me. Your love and your grace are enough for me. Take, Lord, receive. All is yours now. Dispose of it wholly according to your will. Give me only your love and your grace. They're enough for me. Your love and your grace are enough for me. That always lifts my heart. It's just kind of a sense of freedom. My life's not about me. It's about serving God, resting in His love, and it takes a lot of pressure off us. It doesn't necessarily make life easier, but it takes a lot of pressure off us because we're about serving God. So, hey, in the midst of all that, sorry, hopefully that whole kind of discussion about staying in church and scandal and all that, hope I didn't say anything offensive inadvertently or anything. It's not an easy topic. But I look forward to seeing anyone who's in the area as we break bread on this coming weekend. So, all right, God bless you all. Bye-bye.